Okay, so if I were just to say something about Hugh Hefner and the Playboy philosophy and just basically what Playboy did as a legacy, I would say this. Like, Hugh Hefner was a flawed man, as we all are. Nobody here is perfect. We can only strive to be complete. What I also say is that Hugh Hefner was not only just Hugh Hefner, but with the Playboy philosophy was just something that was again revolutionary. And even to this day, I still believe that we still have a lot more to go in terms of like personal liberties. And I say personal liberties because it encompasses so much more. Like not only just your ideologies, but your sexual preferences. On top of that, the color of your skin tone, where you come from, and even like it embodies like the American dream that we all can aspire to be what we choose to be if we put the hard work and effort into it. But even then, like that in itself has its limitations because not everybody will have those same opportunities as somebody else. And I think, and even if you do attain those heights, it's still not everything because, again, look at the Great Gatsby and what happened there. Now, when with Playboy, like yeah, you can argue that it wasn't always the best. It wasn't always seen in the best light under the feminist movement, and that's fine. But I do believe that Hugh Hefner help bring that argument into the forefront and say, look, women still need to be treated as equals. Like to this day, women are not treated as equals, and that's seen mainly in the pay gap between the two genders. On top of that, like the Playboy magazine also offered something new, something refreshing, and that was mainly seen through the Playboy interviews. For example, like they had Malcolm X on there, they've had Donald Trump on the cover. Like these are people who, I guess, like Donald Trump, I don't deal with them. But it's something like someone like Malcolm X, who was at one point a black supremacist, and they were able to use this platform because Hugh Hefner thought it was the best thing to do. And not only that, but it was also a fight for racial equality too. If you look at, let me see, the Playboy penthouse, you had blacks and whites coming together, and they were portrayed in a different light than something you would see back in the day. You gotta understand that, like back in the day, I'm talking about like the 50s and 60s, like there were still a lot of racial tensions going on, which is reflective of what we're going through today. Like there's a Black Lives Matter movement going on that's stronger than ever because of the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. On top of that, like we have Donald Trump as a president. Whether or not you agree with him, then I personally don't agree with him because of what he's done towards the Mexican community, Hispanic community, even Salvadorians. Man, like there's a lot of division, and I think that Hugh Hefner created that platform to not only discuss these controversial ideas, but also to bring people together. And within that, you get a melting pot, which is again reflective of the United States of America. So like you not only do you have somebody who enjoys a good life, but you also have somebody who works hard, and not only do they do that, but they also have their foot in a political realm because you have no art. You can see it there's a difference between like Playboy magazine and Hustler magazine and how they portray women. Now you can make the argument that Hugh Hefner released a beast that he couldn't control because of the extent of pornography that we have to this day. It's on our phones. It's so easy to access it. But in the early stages of Playboy, it was a fantasy. Excuse me, and the fantasy was the girl next door. And again, like they played to that. However, as like you just start to see Playboy in a different light, and it's done so because again, like the Playboy philosophy, like that was Hugh Hefner's argument, and in his defense, like how he was defending Playboy, like yeah, and you start to like really see what he was going through because like there's certain studies like Alfred Kinsley, yeah, he created, well, he studied human sexuality, and basically he created this Kinsey scale. So there's a scale, I believe, between I think 0 to 5 or 0 to 6. It could be either 1 to 5, or no, I think it's 0 to 5, 0 to 6. And on one spectrum you're exclusively straight, on the other spectrum you're exclusively gay. However, like, he discovered that nobody is on either side. You're not exclusively straight, you're not exclusively gay. And Kinsey himself was bisexual, you can tell, but it was just one of those things that it brings the topic of sex and personal liberties to the forefront, and you discuss these ideas. And yeah, so you start seeing things like transgenders. Like, recently in 2017, Playboy had issued a transgender woman as the centerpiece, and she was a playmate. And it's exactly what Hugh Hefner would have wanted, because it shows that we still have a long way to go, and this is that Playboy is on the right side of history when it comes to sexual liberties. And not only that, but they were also at the forefront of, again, like, racial inequalities as well. And I think it says a lot to what the legacy that Hugh Hefner left behind, because like, he was a prominent player, aside from like the Playboy lifestyle, the mansions and the women, and well, the women and the parties, but also because it just showed that this was more than just sex. It was more than that. And yeah, and I think Hugh Hefner did a great job at living his life, and I think a lot of people would agree to that as well. But he was definitely a leader. Definitely a leader. And on that note, we're pretty much set and gone. Peace. Alright, guys, check us out. This one, Hugh Hefner. The Hugh Hefner issue, man. Rest in peace. And then here we have this one. This is my issue, a Women of the Ivy League. That's what's up, with Snoop Dogg, a damn. Alright, guys, here's the resting place of Hugh Hefner. And right beside him, none other than Marilyn Monroe. As you can see, she has some flowers here from her fan club. Alright, what's up, guys? Here we are at the Playboy Mansion. There's the outside gate. I asked if I can go inside. They said nah. Declined. Yeah, they're just renovating the property. It's crazy. This is where everything went down. So much history here. Damn. Eek. I'm gonna go touch the gate. Look. Damn. How much shit? Alright, guys. Pretty much it.